Hello and welcome back. Today is a vintage kind of feel. Today we are going to be taking a trip back to the 1940s with a fragrance Guerlain, initially released in 1942 as Guerlain Criss, K-R-I-S-S. For unfortunate circumstances and unforeseen reasons, 3 years later, Guerlain rebranded the fragrance to be called Dawamesk, D-A-W-A-M-E-S-K. So the bottle you see in front of us here today, boom, is a bottle from 1945, the first rebranded release of Guerlain Criss, Guerlain Dawamesk, 1945 release. We have history in our hands right here. This is an 8-ounce Baccarat crystal bottle. You can see it's quite full. I don't remember how much I paid for this, but it was a lot. I think it was upwards of like $3,000. Probably, I don't know. I don't even remember when I got it, but super vintage and history right here. Now, what is Dawamesk? I actually didn't know that it was first called Criss until I did my research on the fragrance for this video, but I know what Dawamesk is basically. Dawamesk is basically this cannabis-derived hashish, right? I don't know if you know, probably look it up, but maybe we can put it up. Hashish, that black stuff that's made out of cannabis, actual hashish. So it's actually hashish. Think of turning hashish into a jam almost, right? That is Dawamesk, which is a dessert, or which was a dessert in traditional India in the 1940s, the 1930s, the 1950s, 60s. And as things got modernized, brownies and all these things took its place. But it's still a dessert that actually they make in like rural India, rural Pakistan, and even like rural Nepal and Bangladesh, and like, you know, that third world region, that Indo-Pak entire region, you know, in rural areas where they don't have access to high quality cannabis and stuff like that, you know, they grow it and then they make a dessert out of it and to consume for chill reasons, right? It's that dessert is called Dawamesk, right? So does this fragrance smell like Dawamesk? I dabbed a little on here, roughly. It's been 10 minutes now. It's 2:50 p.m. I dabbed it at 2:40. No, it doesn't smell like Dawamesk at all, right? There's no cannabis. Here's the thing. There's no cannabis. However, there are all the other aspects, the gourmand aspects that you would use to create a Dawamesk dessert, basically, right? So you have, I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I wrote all of this down, how to make a Dawamesk. So you mix hashish oil with butter, orange juice, cinnamon, cloves, sugar, ginger, rose water, pine kernels, whatever the heck that is, nutmeg, ice, cardamom, vanilla, pistachio, and almonds, right? And then you eventually heat it up and paste and consume it, right? This is missing that hashishness. However, this definitely has the cinnamon, this definitely has the cloves, this definitely has that ginger, it definitely has the rose, definitely has the nutmeg, cardamom, vanilla, and doesn't have pistachios and almonds, but it covers that genre. It's a very green fragrance, and Dawamesk is a very green dessert, right? So I guess they take away the hashish aspect of the dessert Dawamesk and they turned it into a perfume aspect with all the spicy and all the oriental and like all of those that rose. And there's some other jasmine, there's some other florals in here, including jasmine. It just turns out to be a very chypre, a very dry, leathery, oak moss heavy kind of a fragrance, right? Very upscale, very sultry, right? Like it's not your traditional chypres you're gonna get today that are overly sweet. This is dry. This is dry, this is rugged. Now, the fragrance was initially released in 1942 and then 1945 as a woman's fragrance. However, you gotta be a femme fatale in order to like wear something like this and just call it a woman's fragrance, right? I mean, this is a femme fatale. I mean, this is a girl or lady like who is not scared to go after what she wants by any means. Like, she's like this upscale girl, you know, like lady. Like I can just picture her in my mind from the 1940s, like, you know, dressed in that fur coat, permed back hair, red lipstick on, you know, big eyes and sharp jawline, and dressed in high heels and like smoking a cigarette, and like just like you can't F with her at all, right? This is that kind of a woman. However, in my opinion, this is a very unisex fragrance, very borderline, like any man, no, not any man, but like a man can easily pull this off, right? Like the counterpart man I see. I don't know why this says it's only a woman's fragrance. I guess because women were heavier into perfumes back then in that time, you know, so, you know, women would buy perfumes more. And even back then, perfumes, even today, men associate perfume as a woman's perfume. No, perfume just means a fragrance. It's, call it a cologne or a perfume. It's the same terminology, right? Like, but I think 1945, that's what it was, like 1940s, you know, you call a perfume, make a fragrance, say it's a woman's perfume so it can get more sales and get out into the market more, because guys would be like, oh, you know, I'm only smelling traditional with that tobacco lavender and, you know, those fougere types. So bringing guys off of that uber masculinity, you know, introducing things like rose and jasmine. You know, you couldn't just tell a man to wear rose and jasmine, right? Like, no, it's again for masculinity. So I guess that's why it was marketed as women's. However, this is a very strong fragrance. I'm gonna come back to that point. It's now been 15 minutes and it's developing like this green soapy aspect almost, right? Like Armentesia or, you know, some Galbanum, something green. Like it's like a green soap bar, not a green soap bar, but like a very green, luxurious, soapy, leathery, oak moss heavy kind of fragrance being developed. But like going back to the point I was at, you know, it's a very masculine-ish, but strictly unisex. But again, in order for a woman to pull this off, like, you know, if you're a fan of those sweeter kind of women fragrances, you know, then you might want to stay away from this one. But if you're a fan of those darker fragrances, you like Amouage men's fragrances, you know, you like some of those really dark and out there kind of indie fragrances, and, you know, some of the masculine touches, you know, with leather, oak moss, and, you know, cloves, and, you know, those really spicy oriental kinds, this is for you, ladies. It has that rose in there. It definitely has that jasmine in there. And it just keeps everything perfectly balanced. And it's a very gorgeous green, oak moss heavy, leathery, oriental kind of a fragrance with a hint of animalic florals. It is absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna do a re-up now and also put it on my skin. I've actually never even used this fragrance. I'll take that back. I used it once. I dabbed it once when it first came in, but just refreshed my memory on it earlier today. Don't know how longevity is like or projection is like, because I would have to decant it, spray it in order to test that, but it would have to be phenomenal. I mean, I would assume why wouldn't it not be phenomenal, right? I mean, it's such an old fragrance. It has such crazy yeah, see, I can smell it. I can smell it. Just off of the test strip already, I can smell it. Give that a little time to settle in because it's very old. And I am gonna go right here. All right, make sure it's nice and tight. Whew, dripped a little. See? It might even have some lavender. I'm not too sure, but let's. A straight up dry chypre with oak moss in your face with hints of bergamot and lemon and some citruses. There's definitely some lavender in here. It is phenomenal. That rose is just right underneath all of that citrus opening, but it's sitting above the spiciness, the cloves and everything, while the jasmine sits below. the jasmine is sitting below the spices while the rose is sitting above the spices. So it's almost like the jasmine, when you get a whiff of that jasmine through those spices, that's what's making the jasmine a little bit animalic and spicy, because it's coming through these spices. It is gorgeous. And the way you can actually pick up that the rose, you'll get a whiff of the sweetness, and then if you sniff a little bit deeper, you'll get the spices, and if you sniff a little bit deeper, you'll get the jasmine, and if you continue sniffing with your eyes closed, you'll be able to wrap that around in your head as a very gorgeous animalic floral, right? It's like an accord without it actually being an accord. In today's world, we'd probably just pop in a bunch of animalic undertones and just pop in a bunch of floral undertones and just create a single accord out of it and be like, boom, you know, and it's all flowing together. But this is like, you can actually sniff the ingredients through and through instead of just putting it all together as one accord. It is an accord, but it's not created as an accord, at least not to what I'm smelling, right? I could be wrong, lab analysis will tell otherwise, but this stuff is absolutely gorgeous. Just oak moss heavy. Now this, you can even tell from the color, like it uses some heavy doses of real oak moss, which in today's world is discontinued, or not discontinued, but not to be allowed in use in perfumery if your perfume is going to be an IFRA certified. However, with Dua getting into the indie realm, we can definitely use real oak moss tinctures, and it just wouldn't be IFRA certified, and it would be done in super limited batches instead of our usual big production. But we'll look at him just burping on video live, but you know, at least it wasn't a loud one. But yeah, gonna be making it happen eventually. I don't know when we're gonna get this to the lab. I would have to visit the lab and like sit with our chemists in order to do this one, like run it myself probably. Like I've never done that to date, where like I actually sit with the chemists while they're running the fragrance. Usually it's like, you know, they do the thing, the reports come out, I get the reports, then, you know, we source the ingredients and we put it together and I fill the sample and, you know, go through the final touches and da-da-da-da-da. But I think with this, something like this, I would love to see the data myself coming out. And I've been wanting to study GCMS systems and actually see how to run the machine. I don't know how to run the machine, right? I have to rely on others to run the machines for me. And then obviously the data, I don't know how to get the data into the mass spectrogram. I can analyze some of the data on my own. However, you know, I need to sit with chemists, and I can do everything after the data part, right? But I want to get a little bit more involved, like how the data is actually coming in. You know, just curiosity. Would like to know the entire circle of the creation process from the analysis end as well, and from a technical aspect. So yeah, but I think this is probably the first fragrance I'll take with me and be with the chemist and be like, yo, let's run this together. And I'll see if I can actually, if the lab can allow me to document some of that for our channel. That would be super dope. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to make this one happen. Guerlain Dawamesk, previously named Chris, bottle from 1945. If you have tried it, please comment below. If you have not tried it, and if you would love to see a Dua version, please do comment below. And as usual, I haven't said it in a long time, please like, comment, and subscribe, and follow our journey on YouTube, and keep supporting us so we can bring you more videos on super crazy stuff that YouTube doesn't even have. Raza, signing off.